The Thing Without a Face. While serving in the Philippine Marine Corps, I was deployed in the south of the country, to a place that had seen countless battles. I was initially assigned administrative work at our battalion HQ, but was rotated to a company that was often on patrol. It was on one of these patrols that I saw something that still weakens my knees, even to this day. We often received intelligence reports of enemy sightings. This time my squad was ordered to verify the report. As is often the case, the patrol took 3 days of humping in the bush following any leads and updated reports. It was the second day of our patrol when intelligence came in saying that the enemy has moved out and is possibly en route to another island. We were ordered to report back to the company HQ. As it was already evening when the report was received, our squad leader decided to pass the night in the bush and move out early. We were setting perimeter when one of us spotted a faint figure moving slowly at about 70 yards away. With only our squad leader having a night vision goggle, the location was pointed out to him. He had difficulty locating the figure through the night vision goggles, so he went and sent 2 fire teams downrange. I was in one of the fire teams. The figure was white and quite visible, even with only the moon illuminating the otherwise pitch-black surroundings. As we slowly approached it, around 50 yards, the figure seemed to be gliding rather than moving, and I thought it was strange. Closing in around 20 yards, we saw that the figure was not only gliding, it was actually floating, 2 feet off the ground. It was gliding erratically sometimes, passing close to our crouched bodies. By this time, I was really scared. My heart was beating so fast I thought I would lose it, or my heart would pop out of my chest. What made it worse was that we all saw it. The figure was dressed in white, and it seemed like a living, normal person, but it had no face. The best I can describe it is that the face was white, like erased. Its skin was very pale, as if drained of blood. It seemed to have bullet holes across its chest. At one point, it stopped gliding. I looked through my rifle scope, and I had the fright of my life when I saw it looking back at me with its featureless face. Every hair in my body stood, and I had to fight the urge to run and scream like a girl. Suddenly, the figure just vanished, right in front of us. I think every one of us was too scared to even move. We were eventually ordered to withdraw and return to the perimeter. How I didn't soil my trousers is beyond me. We reported to our squad leader what we saw, and he said he believed us. He ordered us to prepare to move out as he radioed for transport. Everyone was quiet in the truck on the way back to the company HQ. No one spoke a word. Not one single word. We later found out that each of us who were sent downrange had the same experience of being looked at by whatever it was. Our squad leader ordered us to keep the experience to ourselves. I was silent about it until I got out of the military. A Child's Cries. I was driving at night when I heard an odd grinding noise, like I had run over something that got stuck. It's about 2 a.m., so I pulled into a well-lit rest stop and woke up my buddy. I explained it to him, and as we got out of the car, we heard what sounded like a kid crying. There were no other cars at the rest stop, but we frequently heard stories about child trafficking and kidnapping, so we decided to check it out. We grabbed our flashlights and headed towards the noise, which was coming from the bathroom. As we get closer, we realized it was coming from the women's bathroom. It was a low, dull sobbing. We prepared for the worst and walked in expecting to see a brutally beaten or raped 8-year-old or something. But there was nobody inside. The sound was still there. It was still clearly coming from the room, but the room was empty. We turned on the lights, but still found nothing. We checked each stall, trash can. Nothing. We even started looking for where in the room it was coming from. Nothing. We wondered, is it a hidden speaker? Are we on candid camera? What the hell? My buddy climbed up on one of the stalls to get to the top window in the rest stop. It was completely vented and open. He closed it and the noise stopped. Completely. He opened it and there was no more noise. We sat there for a few seconds staring at each other. He shrugged. Then the window slammed shut again without him even touching it. We were out of that bathroom in seconds. The noise started up about 10 seconds later and we tore out of the parking lot. The grinding noise was still there, so this time I pulled over a few miles later at the Flying J truck stop. One that was well lit and occupied. We checked and saw a red and silver piece of metal wedged underneath. We couldn't remove it by hand and it was really wedged in there, so we kicked at the metal to bend it and figured we'd remove it when we got back. A week later I had my mechanic take it out when he was doing a service. It was part of the kid's bike. The red area where someone can stand. That was one of those moments for me. Totally crazy. The fur coat. We have a family cabin in the middle of nowhere, on a small lake with 2 other cabins, surrounded by forested area and flatlands both. About 2 miles away from the cabin and across the dirt road is a wildlife reserve. As kids, we walked through there all the time. After about 30 minutes walking straight into these woods, there used to be a collection of abandoned houses, an old settlement. We went exploring and found that the people who used to live there had just up and left. In each house, dishes on the tables, clothing in the closets, cars parked in the clearings, all the strappings for horses in the barns. In one house, the floor had caved in and there were about 40 pairs of women's shoes scattered around the hole in the middle. No bones, though. Animal or human. Nothing. We decided to stay away from the second floors of the houses after we saw that. We figured they'd be structurally unsound. A skeletal tree house in the middle of the clearing. After we told my parents, my dad wanted to come and look too. In one of the houses, we found a bedroom, fully intact. The sheets were still in the beds. The pillow still had the indentation of a head on it, but everything was covered in a thick layer of dirt and dust. And on the floors, it only had our footprints in it. At the foot of the bed was this stunning, enormous gray fur coat. There were a few moth holes chewed in it, and it was dirty as everything else, but when we inspected it, we knew it was real fur, likely wolf or silver fox. I mean, it was gorgeous. Dad decided he was going to bring it back and clean it up and see if he could have it remade for my mom. Dad was a thrifty guy. As we were leaving, I got a chill on the back of my neck, and about 60 yards from the house, turned around and saw an old woman glaring at us from the window on the second floor. Just standing there, what seemed to be a white nightgown. Just still, no movement. I immediately felt super guilty. I grabbed my dad, who was about 10 yards ahead of me, and told him we had better put the coat back because the woman was still living there and we had probably scared her and she looked pissed. We turned back around and I pointed to the window I saw her glaring at us from. No one there. I said she must have gone downstairs as we approached the house, still carrying the stupid coat. One of the windows in another house suddenly slammed shut. I ran as fast as I could into the woods. Dad, being Dad, stayed behind and started yelling for the lady to come out. Ma'am? Hello? We're sorry. We didn't mean to take anything. We're really sorry. We went upstairs, but no one there. No dust on the floor. Nothing. Then he started up and dropped the coat in a big hurry, and we beat it back to the road as fast as we could. About 5 years later, the government demolished the whole damn town.